I I don't know exactly how I can begin wording this. I guess I could start with my name before going into any actual detail of my experience. My name is Jake. I've never really lived a very exciting life. Maybe that's why they chose me, but let's not get into all that. I guess I'll start with explaining to you how I've lived my life and what's happened. You see, when I hit the age of 10, my parents died, and I've been completely heartbroken since then. Back to the situation, nobody had the guts to tell me the truth until I was about 13. I'd already lived in an adoption centre for 3 goddamn years. Not only that, but I was told that my family were now legally dead, opposed to missing. And not only that had they died in a car crash, but my entire family had actually disappeared without a trace. They found the car blown up in the woods about 2 weeks after it all occurred. And those bastards didn't even bring up my fucking parents for 3 fucking years. Emotions hit me like tanks driving at the speed of light. Anger, hatred, sadness, every emotion and more. I felt my entire world was coming to a dead end. But it wasn't. Not yet, anyway. After about 3 years of intense emotional therapy, they let me out to live with a new family. Me now being at the age of 16. My new family included a mother, Angela, a father, Derek, and a baby sister, Sarah. The two parents explained that they knew my mother and father. They felt a responsibility to help me grow up and live a new life. I wasn't too sure how to feel at the time. Happy? Sad? To be completely honest, I felt about as numb as human could do. I didn't care about anything anymore. And as the years with them went past, I eventually left the house with my old family and bought one of my own. As a person who was locked in the center of an unwanted kids, I never really liked anybody. Exclude the dog that my adopted parents bought me for my 17th birthday. A medium-sized border collie, the most beautiful, loyal friend in the world. Her name? Kim. Kim was playful, beautiful, happy, and always by my side. She made me the happiest little dog owner in the world. All I had to do was walk her every few hours. And so, as the next year went by, I moved to a place in the woods, near my old home, my first home. I'd lost full contact with my adopted family, and over the next few months, I almost felt like they hadn't even existed. Kim and I would go for your average evening walk, which would actually last several hours, just tireless, slow-paced, happy walking. Kim was my only friend in the world, and nothing could end my happiness with her. My favourite thing, my pet dog, my one true friend. I actually had a family. As I said, I'd grown to completely forget about my old family, and well, that was until the night actually occurred. I'm not sure how to word it, so this entire situation is kind of touch and go. I remember it to the fullest of my ability. It was your average evening. Kim and I, ready to go for our nighttime walk. The moonlight shone upon the house. It was beautiful. A dark night. I strapped my dog onto my harness and we went off. With a quiet shut of the door, I had no idea what was to come. And now, I know what your thoughts are to this point. Huh, Lone is gonna get killed by Jeff the Killer or something stupid like that. Well, let me tell you, that's just not how life is. What happens here is completely true. It's something that's actually fucking happened. Something that's genuinely occurred, and there's nothing I can ever do to forget it. Whether you choose to believe it or not is completely irrelevant. Chances are, no one who ever hears this will go through what I had to on that night. As Kim and I made our way into the wood, the stones that buried under our feet crumbled as we made our journey. This, of course, was normal for a path made of stones. The wind blew with little effort, and the sky was clear of any clouds, allowing full view of the beautiful bright lights that made its black bed. The moon had become anew, so there was little natural light to rely on, and when you live in a wooded area, you're used to the lack of street lamps. I allowed Kim to drag me in the way. She knew the path, of course, and I trusted her, and we made our journey into the wood. The path forward was practically invisible, shrouded in utter darkness. Kim pulled me onward into the black, and when I say the black, I literally mean it. There was nothing to be seen. Utterly reliant upon my other senses. Now, as I'm sure we're all aware of, humans mostly use their sight. When that particular sense is taken away from you, most people being to have a sense of dread and fear. The knowledge that if there's something there, you would definitely be very fearful. But as it was, I simply didn't care. My Kim, my beautiful dog, was here to guide me forward into the nightly abyss. Now, I don't know what drove me to even allow this, but as we pressed onward across the well-known path, Kim stopped dead in her tracks. I could hear her sniffing, shuffling her nose into the dirt and tracing the area rapidly. The only time she'd done this were ones where she'd need to go pee or poo, but those moments were extremely rare under these circumstances. It was undoubtable that something was wrong. Kim hadn't made actions this swift since her first meeting with me as a pup. Our shared happiness made angels smile as we played for hours on end. Must have made a huge surprise to my second family there. I mean, looking at me, looking at my past and what it had been like in the few hours that I had to give them. The smiles that came from my face must have been the most memorable ones in their lives. I'm happy that they gave me that much. But back to the point. Kim was burrowing her face deep into the ground below me. My brain overly excited, I was eager to find out what it was that made my little ghost so hyped. The quick smelling and snuffling grew louder and faster. Kim had gone from a calm, loving dog into one that was going crazy and insane. Her actions sped up. She was no longer in a stable state, and at that moment she began to drag me forward, pulling me further and further into a random direction. I had no idea where I was going. Her dragging raced forward, and she began to be sprinting. My legs could hardly keep up. The rope between us that held our family bond was almost tearing from the sheer speed of my little dog was racing at. My heart pulsed like a machine. It was after 5 or 10 long minutes of this that I began to lose any human instincts. Kim constantly raising her pace throughout, deep in the woods into pitch black, blasting forward at speeds unknown. Something was bound to go wrong. Kim came to a sudden halt, her legs and tail stopping dead in their tracks. The same could not be said for myself. I hurled forwards and was forced by the ground to a large, heavy, and cylinder-like substance. My head hit the floor, and everything went blank. The time I was out could have lasted between 5 and 10 hours. Of that, I have no idea. But by the time my eyes opened, it was daylight. I stood. The area around me had changed completely. The idea of a chilled mind was completely gone. My mind had become half blank, my body numb. Slowly, my body tumbled forward, my eyes slowly adjusting to the area around me, head hurting and brain burning. I made my way to what seemed to have been the cause of my fall. It was a log, infested with maggots and fungus all over. The stench and sight of the encounter had almost been enough to bring me to throwing up. I coughed and retched, my lungs hurting with every breath. It was soon after seeing this that it all hit me. Memories of the situation that fell onto me during the previous night haunted me. Instantly after, the image of my final life friend hit my brain. Her little face, tongue out and eyes wide, glimpsed on my mind. In that second I let out a shout that may have disrupted the entire wood. Kim! The sound of my shrieks echoed in the wood, causing birds to fly and rabbits to scatter. It was at that exact moment when I realized the intense, horrifying truth. The fact that still haunts me to this day. I was alone, in an unknown location, with no hope of still the next 10 miles of range. I had one hope of salvation. That was Kim, my friend, my family. Hours passed. What seemed like days of looking for her, but to no avail. Still lost and lonely, hungry and tired, I couldn't quit. I'd become completely aware of my surroundings, and in touch with the forest itself. It almost seemed like it wanted me to find her, but with the forest's help came a shadowing burden, the consistent feeling of being watched. I was feeling a sense that I'd never truly felt before. You see, I'd never been completely alone before. I'd always had somebody around whether I liked it or not, and this new feeling, this horror that slowly came and filled with me with total dread. Who could be out there? The hairs on my neck stood. I turned around, frozen with fear. There was nothing I could do. It almost felt like I was waiting to die. Hell, maybe if I hadn't conjured the strength, I would have. The previously still wood had become one that was haunted by mist and wind. The air was cold to breathe, and my hands were numb. The bump on my head was not healing. Could it be that this was my destiny? To die alone in the forest without Kim? It was at that moment that I did it. I stepped forward, destroying the mental walls that my body had set up for me. I wasn't going to starve, I wasn't going to die, and I was going to make it. Courage shot through me like a bullet. I was going to survive. Faster steps now. I walked and walked and walked. I was going to find Kim, and I was going to get her and myself out of there. But Jesus Christ, I swear if there was anything I could do to have not taken that one extra step. I placed my foot slowly onto the ground ahead, my head still primitive and confident. I hardly noticed it. But as I lifted my other, the fall had already begun. Fully conscious throughout, I fell what seemed around 10 feet. Pain shot through my legs, my ears rang like static. Unable to stand, I scanned upwards. I'd fallen. Fear shot through me. Shit! Somebody help me. My leg had been placed onto what was a very nicely laid trap, perfectly intact. Blocked out of sight by a simple leaf, I'd destroyed the nest of dry mud and dead plants with my demonic foot that had made its way into the dark hell. It was at that single moment when it hit me. The stench. The most horrible, disgusting stench roared through my nose. Imagine mouldy macaroni cheese and imagine at least 1,000 of those, and that's not half of what I had. Worms and maggots crawled under my hands and legs, their slimy bodies curling up against my skin. Please, fuck, somebody help me. I reached around my arms for help, but to no avail. It was at that second, that one moment, I felt something, a cylinder, plastic, soft, freezing cold torch. Clicking the button, a shot of blinding light blasted ahead of me, so bright the whiteness caused my sense of uncertainty. Taking a few seconds to finally be able to view the dread of muddy hell around me, I waited for my eyes to adjust. The light, the white that covered my vision slowly began to fade, and what I saw, my mum and dad, the bodies kept perfectly preserved, hanging up from ropes feet first, their heads close to the floor, one single distinct feature, a single bite mark on their neck, with dry red substances around the area. My eyes flooded with tears. Jesus. Sadness forced through me. I fell to my knees. Who? Why? How? One big question. What? My legs broken, I was unable to stand. The light from my torch flickered. Tears in my eyes, I shot the torch left. Another huge fucking mistake, my entire second family, the adopted one. There in exactly the same form hung my adopted family, Denise, Derek, and Sarah, each hanging eyes open with an entirely empty facial expression. I threw up. I knew exactly what the smell was now. Death. The death of loved ones. The death of my everything that I had loved. In this hell of a situation I was on the road that I had to walk. It was coming to a close, and I knew exactly how the final step would be. Slowly, with every ounce of fear and emotion, I turned my head, my hand holding enough flickering my torch stopped my hand clenching so hard. I whipped blinding tears out of my eyes, forwarding my vision to only see exactly what I was expecting. I felt blank. I threw up again. No emotion can describe what I felt. It was just demolishing. Right there, in that hole, in that hell of a hole, hung Kim. Her fur tattered. Lumps had fallen into the mud below with that single trademark bite in the neck. I didn't know how long I cried for in that hole. Only two things entered my mind. Why am I still alive? Are they going to kill me? Is this a torture? Why is this happening? Why can't it just end? Of which was quickly taken away by, they're all dead. Everything I love. Dead. The second one we played for what seemed like hours. As mentioned, nothing can describe what I felt. The feeling of having everything taken away from you in a night. I have absolutely no idea what happened after that. It all just went black. I awoke in my bed the next morning. My eyes took time to adjust to the daylight. I felt as if I had been sleeping for days, my body tired and rattled. I felt relieved, almost happy. It was all a dream. It was fake. None of it, none of that telltale shit had actually happened. Kim! I called, waiting for my lovely dog to come. My heart still pounded from the hell I had seen in those stinky depths. Kim, come on here, girl. I spoke once more. I got up, and God almighty, the pain that shot through my legs can still be felt right now. The pain of 1,000 suns burning away at your weak kneecaps. I fell to the ground, screaming in agony. My legs broken. Then that meant my body and my thoughts were quickly stabbed away by taps on the window. I looked up. Nothing. But the tapping continued. But I didn't care. If it wasn't a dream, then... Kim, I sobbed. And so here I am. Everything I love, dead. My entire family taken away from me. And I still have no idea what it is that has it out for me. Likely to be some kind of unknown evil. A demon, maybe. I have no idea what will happen if I do this, but... The reason I'm telling you all this is because I'm sitting here, in my bedroom, listening to tapping on my window that I'm sure isn't there, and I'm holding a gun in my head. From my hand, the cold steel can be felt dreadfully against my skin. I understand that this isn't right, but I have nothing left to live for. I'm sorry. Not for taking my life, but for the fact that I think this thing might simply move on to another and ruin somebody else's. If there was something else I could do, I'd do it, but I can't. I'm a coward. I've always been a fucking coward.